Good morning, students. After reading your answers last week, I wanted to talk about a few important concepts that maybe you struggled with last week or where I saw a lot of wrong answers on the questions. So I'm going to go over those today. And I hope that you all had a lovely Memorial Day weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful out again today, so maybe try to get outside and read outside instead of reading inside. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was food delivery. So I'd ask you a question about mother cleaning up the remnants of their morning meal and putting it back out for the pickup crew. So maybe you didn't pick up on this. It was also kind of referenced in the first chapter that all of their food is delivered to them. So they don't cook. They don't really have to clean except to clean up their remnants. And they don't have to go grocery shopping. Everything is provided to them. And you might have noticed also that all of their other goods are provided to them, like their clothes are provided to them, their bicycle is provided to them, their job, everything is provided. And so you might be picking up on the fact that they actually don't go shopping. They don't have to do that. They don't have money even because they don't need it. Everything that they need is given to them or provided to them. Their furniture is provided to them. So maybe think about that. Would you like that everything is provided to you, your food, your belongings, your materials, your clothes? Or would you hate that because you would rather be able to pick your own clothes, to pick your furniture, to pick what you want to eat? Okay. Now, some students have asked me, why do they pick what they want them to eat? Well, it may be because the society is very technologically advanced and they may be choosing what they want people to eat to keep them at a certain weight and a certain health level. So maybe some people too have special diet requirements or allergies, and so this is a way they can ensure that everybody is getting the food that they need to keep them healthy and safe, because we know that people don't really get sick here. We know that people don't really experience pain here, so that may be part of it. They're really monitoring and regulating their diet. Now, Lois Lowry doesn't come out and say that, but we can assume that based upon how their society works. The next thing I wanted to talk about were stirrings. Some of you got it right. Some of you were a little bit far off. So stirrings. Jonas has that dream about Fiona where he wants to bathe her. And this is a dream that suggests that he is having romantic or lustful feelings for Fiona. He has a crush on her. He likes her in a physical way. And so when people in the community have stirrings, as most of you did realize, they have to take a pill, and they have to continue to take this pill until they reach the house of the old. Now, we don't have anything like this in our society, at least not yet, and hopefully not, where it basically minimalizes or deletes any feelings of love or lust or romantic feelings for another person. So then I ask you, why do you think that they did this? And if you got the answer to stirrings right, many of you got the next part right, but some of you got both parts wrong. So the reason they would do that is actually multifold. So one, they assign people their spouse. So if you had romantic feelings or a crush on somebody else and you got to assign someone different, then you probably wouldn't be happy about that. And that would cause some conflicts, and then this society wouldn't be so perfect. So in order to make sure they can assign whoever they want spouses, they basically erase or eradicate any feelings of love or lust or romantic feelings towards another. They also assign children. Okay, so if you had those types of feelings, there's a chance that you might have children of your own, and they don't want that. Okay, they want to control their population. They want to genetically modify their population. So that's why they have birth mothers, and they pick specific genetics for who they want to be born. So, and how many kids they want to be born. So there's no overpopulation. So that's another reason why they get rid of those sorts of feelings. Okay, and there are more that we could talk about too, other reasons that they do that. And the reason why they stop at the house of the old is because at that point, most people don't have those physical feelings anymore. And so by the time they reach the house of the old, they don't have to take those pills anymore, or their chances of having their own children are not possible anymore at that point. So those are stirrings. Next thing, Gabriel. Gabriel is not a sibling. Yes, they were allowed to bring him home, specifically father, not really the whole family, for extra nurturing. So I just wanted to clear that up. They do not get to keep him. In fact, they had to sign a release saying that they would not get attached to him. He has to go back after a year, and he gets assigned to a new family. So this is really strictly for the purposes of getting Gabe healthy and ready to go with the family. It is not a new sibling. So some of you were a little bit confused about that. I wanted to clear that up. Books. I wanted to talk a little about books in the society. So I don't know how many of you picked up on this, but on page 74, Jonas enters the giver's room for the first time, and it says basically that they have way more books, or he has way more books than Jonas does. It says, but the most conspicuous difference was the books. In his own dwelling, They were the necessary reference volumes that each household contained. A dictionary, a thick community volume which contained descriptions of every office, factory, building, and committee, and a book of rules, of course. So there are only 3 books that Jonas and his whole society are allowed to see. And again, it's just a dictionary, something like a phone book, you might call it, where it has like a directory of who lives where, and a book of rules, and that's it. No novels, no magazines, okay, nothing like that. Okay, no history books, no textbooks. They're not allowed to have any of that. And that's because they don't want people to know about what the world was like before. They don't want people to know about the past. So basically, they don't have the right to know information. So there is no news about what's going on in the world. It's them and them only where they live. And they don't know anything else about what goes on in the outside world or what happened in the past. And that helps the committee of elders to control the society. If they don't know what's out there, they don't know what they're missing. So they have a lack of information. But the giver's room, it says the room's walls were completely covered by bookcases filled with which reached the ceiling. There must have been hundreds, perhaps thousands of books, their titles embossed in shiny letters. So the giver is allowed to know all of this because he holds the memories of the past and of elsewhere, which is what he is giving to Jonas. And he does that in a very strange way. He basically takes his hands and he places them on Jonas's back, and he thinks about the memory and transmits it into Jonas, which we know is fiction, and that's where the science fiction comes in. Some of these things, maybe could happen with advanced technology in the future, but that probably is probably not going to happen. Okay, let's talk about what is Jonas seeing. So I've been trying to direct you to what it is that Jonas is seeing, this capacity to see beyond, as they call it. He doesn't think he has it, but he actually does. And he realizes that at the ceremony when he is selected to be receiver, but he still doesn't really know how to describe it yet. Now, if you read, which you should have, read chapters 14 and 15 and 16, you would see what is going on here a little bit more clearly. But if you hadn't picked up on it, here were the clues again. So he sees that apple change in midair, and it says he looked carefully at it, but it was the same apple, unchanged, the same size, shape, a perfect sphere, the same nondescript shade, about the same shade as his own tunic. Now, when we think of apples, we think, round, bright, shiny, red, okay, maybe green. But he says it was a nondescript shade, so meaning it doesn't really have any color. The same shade as his own tunic, but it had changed in the air. So his tunic is his shirt. So he's describing everything in their world as being nondescript shades, which suggests to us that their world they see in like a black and white grayscale. And that's because they've all been genetically designed to be colorblind. And the reason why they might do this is because they don't want people to be racist. So if you're colorblind and you can't really tell a difference between how people look, or, color of people's eyes, or, color of different things that you might want to choice in, if you eliminate all that, you eliminate some problems. So that might be why that they went to something like that. And then he sees it again in the people's faces at that ceremony towards the end. And it says, the sea of faces, the thing happened again. The thing happened with the apple. So if you think about people's skin, like their lips, their cheeks, they have red undertones, and apples are typically red. So he's probably seeing the color red there again is probably what's happening. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss with you more about loss and death and release, and I want to talk more about those things. So I know that there have been questions about that. I'm not ignoring them. I'm just going to come back to those and circle back to those later. One other thing I want to discuss is the fact that you have locker cleanout this week, and I just want to remind you to keep your Giver book. Don't return it yet. And also, if you have a Chromebook and you need that as your source of technology to finish this school year, make sure you keep your Chromebook as well. Don't turn that in. You're going to need that. So we will be finishing the Giver this week. Today we're going to be doing chapters 17 and 18. Tomorrow we're going to be doing chapters 19 and 20. And then on Thursday, we're going to be finishing the book. And then Friday, I have a small wrap-up activity for us on the last half day. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn us over here now to the activity for today. And some of these are short answer questions. You want to make sure you use complete sentences as always. It kind of always makes me feel really bad when I have to deduct a half a point because you're not using a complete sentence, because it's such an easy thing to do. And it needs to be a habit by this point. It should be so easy to do for you at this point. We've been talking about it all year long. Some of the multiple choice ones, if it's multiple choice, just put your answer over here. So you want to put your letter over here that you are choosing. And let's see. You will see that I used all kinds of different colors for the questions to signify that Jonas is seeing in color now. And chapter 18 is below, and it has a mixture of short answer and multiple choice questions as well. And then if you have questions for me, you can list them below, or if it's urgent, email me or get on Google Meet. All right, guys, go outside and read, get some sunshine, and make sure you hang on to your Giver book and Chromebook if you have one. Don't turn it in during locker cleanout this week.